Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the 505 Podcast. I am 25 years old and we're back. Come on.
Shit. I didn't get you. Did you know it's his birthday?
I did know it was his birthday, and I got him a really good gift.
You did?
But it's broken.
Is it broken or we just don't know how to use
broken.
it?
It definitely doesn't work.
Okay, well, we think my gift might work. I actually did give him a gift. I think sushi roller.
I think that gift's going to work. And then we're going to get this one fixed. And then we're going to be the most chefing house in all of
we got
Angeles.
a lot of kitchen applies.
Yeah.
Appliances.
So Chase got Braden a at-home sushi roller maker, which is awesome
I
because
love sushi.
we love sushi. And I got Braden a automatic cooler of a can or a wine or a beer. You put it in and it like takes a minute to make it super cold, but it broke. It's broken.
Braden does this thing where every morning he puts a Monster in the freezer where I keep my stuff and then forgets about it 85% of the time, which usually means there's just an exploded Monster can by the time we what did our intern Keon say when he goes, oh yeah, carbonated water, it freezes, it explodes. Something like that. What did he say? It was so funny, dude. Dude, Keon's been a monster lately.
We've been out and about a lot. There's been
Kids have been busy.
so much going on, but we're still making an episode of the pod. It's just not coming out on Wednesday sometimes. So you guys just got to bear with us, and we appreciate all of your messages because, dude, we've been running into podcast people in person, and it is nuts.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing in the world when we meet you guys outside of like Instagram DMs. It's the most fun thing in the world, I think, for me. I love meeting you guys in person. Happened at the gym, and that happened when we were in Austin, Texas, and I was on cloud nine for the whole rest of the day. I was like, this is insane that we're meeting you guys in public and we're having that much of an impact and you like the show that much. Like, it's crazy to just talk and meet with you guys and see what all of you are up to. It's awesome.
Happened to me in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Shout out to Xavier.
Let's go.
Fucking boy.
And you guys have been eating, dude. The pod squad just fucking eats. And that's it.
They've been getting work and stuff.
Just people are closing deals. I got a DM right before the show, a $15K deal. So give me a call,
dude.
you know? I'm a DP in LA. Give me a call.
Do you need to hire me?
Yeah,
please?
you guys need some help. Call
you need
us.
a filmer?
You guys are going to surpass us here soon and we're not going to have anything to talk about.
Speaking of which, though, talking about that shit, let's talk about getting hired, dude.
Dude, people need to get hired.
We got some ideas.
We got lots of ideas for you guys to get hired. You guys really liked Rock Talk, and I got a ton of messages. You guys thought we were just burning the show, and we're just done. We're not done with the 505 pod. Rock Talk was just basically an episode of us bullshitting for an hour.
It was an experiment.
Yeah, and you guys really liked it. The messages were fun, but today is all about getting you guys hired.
Yeah.
The number one thing to get you hired is to be good at a drone. And Braden's really good at flying drones, right, Braden?
Did it say that? Because I feel like that actually kind of is a thing. Like, if you can just fly a drone, you can get on any set. But yeah, Braden has had some really good drone experiences lately.
Yeah, so we're in Austin, and you know, I'm ripping the drone for like 10 seconds, and there just happens to be this, guys, listen though, this is not my fucking fault, okay? The the telephone wires, okay, if you're looking at a street, right? Telephone wires go on the sides of the street normally.
And you just surf those.
If I surf those, I should be good. No, apparently not, because there's one wire that gets bored and it's super tiny usually, and I can't see it in my headset. So we're in Austin, hanging out with some buddies, and I was flying the FPV
and
drone.
I go, hey, Braden, before we take off, I was just alerted from our producer, or not a producer, let's call him boots on the ground, car to car producer, man.
Yeah.
He told me, I live around here, a lot of telephone wires. So I'm telling him that. And he's like, dude, I know, I got it. And then like 5 seconds later,
I kissed a wire and it just went toppling, and I was like, oh, that's sick. So then I just full on sprinted like 1.5 miles down the street. It was so far, dude. I was dying. A lot of adrenaline running through my body though to try and find this drone. I'm going through prickly cactus looking ass things, like cat claws everywhere, and I'm just going army crawl on this guy's property. And I'm thinking, dude, this guy's gonna shoot me in Texas if he sees me doing this on his property. I'm looking, nothing. Next day we get a DM from this random guy in Texas, shout out Will. And he found the drone, found my sticker on it, shipped me the drone. And I was like, oh, sick, dude. I would really like to fly the drone this weekend. So then this weekend, Chase and I were in Malibu, right? And I'm having a day. I'm ripping.
he was ripping.
I was ripping. And I go through 3 sets of telephone wires on accident though. Like, I get up close to them. I go, oh shit, those are wires. Go through them.
Because it's one of those things where like you don't notice them
can't
until
see
you're
them.
too late.
Until you're like through them.
Dude, and we looked at them I looked with my own eyes. I didn't see a wire crossing the street.
We did an ocular pat down of the wires for sure.
There was no wires that we could see. So then we went to spot number 2. I'm flying for like 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds. I'm going straight, and all of a sudden I just see my little headset just tumbling in circles, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I look up, and the drone is just shooting up to like the moon. It was just going straight up to the sky, straight up to the sky, tumbling like 1,000 times. Chase and I are both looking at it like, oh my God, what's happening?
What were you in this moment?
Yeah.
Drone's going straight up, and it's like going in circles, and Brandon can't control it. What are you hoping for?
I'm praying that it just goes down the side of the mountain.
Me too.
And I was just like, fuck it, it's gone, like whatever.
Yeah, me
you
too.
know?
That's not what happened.
No. It starts. So I try and mess with like two of my little throttle things, and I shoot it up one way, and it just goes wide right.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like working kind of, and then I try and do it again, nothing. So I'm like, okay, that's sick. So now it's just completely disengaged, and it is just hauling ass straight up into the sky.
Like, Jesus, take
And
it.
No, literally, I'm like, yo, please, like,
And
don't
then there
die.
comes a point when it stops going straight up,
And then it comes just right back at us like a boomerang.
like so fast
Yeah,
down.
so fast, like 55 miles per hour. There's got to be, we're flying away from where everybody's at, like the complete opposite direction, but now it's coming back, and it's just coming with a vengeance to hit somebody on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's coming, and Chase and I look at each other, like we have time, dude. There's a lot of time going on in between this, like hearts stopped.
Yeah.
You feel like it's coming down, like it's you look at it and you're like, it's happening all in slow motion.
Oh,
Yo,
completely.
big time,
Yeah,
dude.
dude. I feel like
240 frames per second.
Yeah. And I was like,
No.
oh, did you just hear Chase? And I go, oh shit. Oh, it's coming back at us. Oh my God.
And then we're on like a blind corner,
Blind
like a
corner.
hairpin, and this guy starts coming on the road that the drone's flying to, and I just go, someone, fuck. I didn't know. It's funny. You never know what you're gonna do in that kind of situation. I didn't yell stop. I didn't yell oh no. I just started saying fuck.
Yeah, we both were saying that.
And then
Yeah, and then, dude, this is the thing though, dude. Buddy hesitated on the corner.
Yeah.
If you just power through the corner, you're not getting hit with the drone.
yeah, he saw it. I think he knew there's something, and he stopped, which is not what you should do.
Yeah.
you should probably speed up.
So it's not my fault.
No, yeah. Let's tell insurance that.
Braden's the king of like having something happening and him being like, nah, it's not my fault. Like the dude should not have been driving that
driven
day.
a little bit faster. And anyways,
Yeah.
drone comes down though, and just I thought in my head, I was like, oh, it's gonna crash through the middle of his window. He's gonna die, and I'm going to jail. This is
Right.
gonna be terrible.
Right.
Anyways, it taps the back side of his car.
Like just makes
just
it.
barely.
I
Which
thought
was,
you were gonna escape.
which was so annoying. And then the drone just catapulted into the ground, just like, and I was like, oh God. So we pick up the drone, tell him we got insurance, whatever. So he told me that he was super pissed off, and that he was late for a meeting, and that he was super pissed off twice.
And he you don't want to mess with this guy.
This guy was like 6'4". He looked like Vin Diesel, but a little bit bigger.
He seems a really nice guy, right?
No, yeah, he seemed like the nicest guy possible for the situation. And we get his information, and the drone is just destroyed. But we did get the memory card back. We can't show the clip because the clip is just corrupted.
Yeah, which is so bummer because I think the battery disconnected. Hey.
Yeah, it had to have been. I mean, it just complete one arm gone though, but we got the drone back, so we're good. So this is our last time that I can send it in and get a new one.
Right. Yeah.
And
that refresh.
And once those refreshes are over, I have a FPV drone that I bought like
He's
2
got
years
the
ago.
system. We're gonna build one.
Yeah,
bro.
we'll build one.
Let's build like a big one that can hold the C70. That'd be sick.
That would be sick. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't fly the drones anymore.
No, dude, you're great at it. We just gotta
Thanks,
look out for the wires.
Dude,
Come on.
man.
Anyways, so number one, learn how to fly drones,
Really well.
and then let's get into the rest of them. maybe.
Yeah.
It's around that time of the year. Weather's nice. It's officially summer.
You just graduated.
Yeah, people
college,
just graduated high school
Yeah.
or college,
Either
looking for
way.
a job, trying to get hired.
Or you're freelancing.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're just freelancing and vibing, and you want some
Yeah.
extra cash for the
Want some
summer,
bread.
so you can go to Greece, dude.
Yep.
Maybe you're not working and you're just vibing.
Yeah. But anyways, if you want to start working,
Yeah.
then let's get hired.
Listen, okay, big thing for getting hired, guys. Have sick work. And if you don't have sick work, what's great about it is you don't have to get paid to go make it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to go make the stuff that you want to get paid to make. And so work on the website, okay? We're not sending over our Instagrams anymore. It's 2022. You're a grown ass adult man or woman. Go make a fucking website. Make the website pretty and spend time on the website. It shouldn't be done in a day unless you're a psychopath.
Right.
You know, spend some time, sit with it.
Every time anyone reaches out to me, like for like a full-time job, like my agency that I currently work at, they were like, hey, we're interested in you. Send over the website. Send over the website. All of a sudden you're in a meeting. You know what I mean? And that's you got to have that. You got to have a professional website to send to them. And then we always say it's like, have good work and have a good attitude. Because if you say like, if you're just like, I will do whatever you need to do, if you really want that job. And like, if they ask you like, can you do this? I learned this in my first agency job. You just don't say no. You say, yes, and I'll figure it out. Like, I'll do it. I don't know how, but I will find out a way to make it work. You know what I mean? And that's an attitude that just differentiates people, and especially in this field where like video, it's like we want to have like 50 people run under the Venice sign or like whatever. And it's like, I have no idea how anyone could ever do that, but I'm not going to say no to you, and I'm going to figure it out. So it's like having a can-do attitude and having good work is going to get you in the door in almost like every place you could ever want to work at. Seriously.
Because people want to be around those that they enjoy their company, right? So like, obviously they want to hire people that are capable of doing the job, but like if you're really talented and can get the work done, but you're like a shitty person or like not fun to be around, you don't have to be like the funnest person to be around, but
yeah, don't try too hard to be overly fun, because those people suck.
But it's just like people want to be around people who are great to be around, and being around someone with a bad attitude is like being around someone with bad breath. You just don't want to do it.
Right. If they're just complaining every time, like sometimes people ask me like, hey, can you get this done? And it's like, look, you pay me to work for you in the reasonable working hours. As long as you don't stop paying me, I will always be available to do the work that you asked me to do, because that's my job, right? And people really like when you say that, because a lot of people are like, oh, I just got done with this. And it's like, well, you pay me to do these work time, so I'm going to work for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I just feel like social skills go such a long way. And oftentimes you'll see someone in a position and be like, how the fuck did they get this job? Or like, how did they get that opportunity? And like, social skills go a long way, because like sometimes you can just like talk your way into getting a gig, even if you're not the most qualified or like the most talented.
We were talking to our friends who run this startup, and they have like 25 employees, and they were saying when they look for people to hire, like there's a random guy with like tons of experience in the field,
Stanford
MB, all that stuff. And they're like, but we want to hire this person because she was a Red Bull girl on campus, and she hustled. She sold more Red Bull than anyone's ever sold before, and we wanted that.
And she's cool to hang out with.
Exactly. And that person just got the attitude that they need, and then you can mold these people into what you need them to be, right?
Yeah, I think if you're passionate about anything, people want to hear that in your interview. You know, whether it's like you're the weird fish guy, you whatever you do on the weekends, it's like a thing that you actually enjoy. Like people, when they ask you like, oh, what do you do? They want to hear what you're passionate about. They're looking for they don't want somebody that's been broken and destroyed by corporate America. And they're like, yeah, I'm just here to get this paycheck, man. And mail it in, call it a day. They're gonna be like, okay, where's the kid that's like soul's not broken? And let's find him or her and get him.
Because it boosts the whole culture of the company. I always say, I'm like, look, man, I am zero from holes. When I'm working, I'm making videos. When I'm not working, I'm going out there and I'm making videos, dude. Like, what do you like to do in your free time? I like to make videos, man. I'm digging holes.
Dig holes.
Okay, I have a little story I could tell that probably hits on a few of these points. My first real job. So basically, I was in LA. I was broke. I had like $85 left. And this agency hits me up at like, I think it was like 9 a.m. And they're like, can you come in at 11? And I was like, sure. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I had some videos on. I had a website that I worked on over the summer. I had some videos for like, this company hired me to go to China. I like had a little video in there. Had some just like, honestly, I had a lot of just like me traveling in Norway, but like cool edits, etc. They talked to me for like 20 minutes, and I looked up the guy in the 2 hours I had. I knew where he was from. I knew like what he liked to do. So I was kind of bringing those things up. You know, you can make those connections. So always like, if you can, it seems creepy, but creep on LinkedIn, creep on their Instagram, and figure out what they're into. If they're into sneakers, like wear the Blazers, you know, like wear something cool and like show them, because then they just know like, oh, I'll be able to connect with this person. Anyways, we connect. He's like, you seem to be really good. Like, what are you doing today? And I was like, I guess I'm just gonna do this interview. And I was gonna like go home, whatever. And he's like, well, no, come upstairs. All of a sudden, I'm in a meeting, and they had shot all these things for Kona Brewing Company, the beer, and they're like, how would you edit this? And this is, you know, I was still like coming out of college. I was like, I would fucking zoom transition into the can, zoom out to this, like, well, because it was about like a mini vacation. So it was like guy drinks a can, and then I'd zoom out, and it'd be like Hawaii. Like all of a sudden he feels like he's in Hawaii, you know? It's a pretty good idea actually. So I pitched this idea in there, and they're like, cool, go to the computer. I'm like, Doc, I don't even know where the footage is. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But and the guy's like, I'm really busy, so like, you just make those videos that you talked about. And so I find the footage. I make one video. By the end of the day, the executive creative director comes by, and he's like, this is good. Come back tomorrow. And that's how a lot of the time it goes, where they don't like, especially agencies nowadays. And we like, Chloe just got a job, and this is how my current agency job is like, they hired me for like 8 days, and I think they hired Chloe for like 14. And if you can show that you have a good attitude and that you can like do what they need you to do and not like weird shit that they don't want you to do, but just follow those directions, then they'll hire you for a month, then they'll hire you for a year, and all of a sudden you have like a full-time job with benefits and everything. But something that did come up was when he was hiring me, when he was talking to me, he's like, what is your day rate? Is the last thing he asked. I had no idea. I had never thought about a day rate. So you should probably think of one ahead of time. It depends on, you kind of have to suss it out, but like, honestly, let's just be like, I feel like it's helpful to be prescriptive. Anywhere between like $300 and $400, depending on your experience level as a freelancer, is like an appropriate day rate, I would say. If you're like
if you're good
editing,
at, good at what you do.
Yeah.
Because that was specifically for editing.
That was an edit job. I think I said my day rate was $360, which was a total guess, shot in the dark. I had no idea if that was low or high. It was pretty good, I think. All of a sudden, I could like afford groceries and stuff. It was sick.
Just knowing how much you want to charge for something and how much you do charge goes a long way, because we've said it before on the podcast, but like having the minimum level of engagement of which a company can work with you for, or that you want to get hired for, whatever, like it allows you to get rid of and not have to work with companies that can't afford you. It's just important to know how much you want to charge or do charge, what your rate is.
And in saying it confidently and like right away makes it feel a lot more like they can justify the amount. Like if they're like, how much you charge? And it's like, well, it feels like they're going to fuck you over, right? But if you just say, I'm $360 a day and it'd be great to work with you. You know what I mean? Then they're like, okay, what this guy charges, he knows his worth and it's important. You know what I mean? It's an important little detail to have. So like think about that ahead of time.
And it gets more comfortable the more that you do talk about the money.
Totally.
So a lot of you have like DM me and you're like, oh, you know, this is uncomfortable and this is weird. And like me and my family don't really talk about money. A lot of like different cultures don't talk about money.
Totally.
It's weird. You know, they don't do it. So getting comfortable in your head and like writing it down, be like, okay, I want $500 to make said video or said design or take pictures of a person or whatever. So then when someone asks you, you're just ready to go. You got your number. You're like, this is the number. And if they're like, that doesn't work. Sounds good. It was great to meet you. Love to work with you in the future. If you have another project that comes up that fits this budget, that's great. You know, and then also too, something that I've done that I've like messed up. I remember there was one client and I was like, it was high. It was like 35,000 or something. Right. And then they were like, this is way out of the budget. And they're like, we could do 10. I'm like, son of a bitch. I totally would have taken 10, but you're not going to go do the same work for 10 that you said you'd do for 35,000. You look like a moron. You're like not running a legitimate company. So it's like, that's sick. So we're gonna have to pass on this, but that's great. And now I realize I just way overshot this. I thought you guys had way more money, and that entire situation would have been fixed if I would have just asked for their budget up front, because they were like, oh, go build a thing. It's like, you can't build a thing. You can't go build a deck with all these numbers if you don't know what they want to spend. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time. So like telling them, yo, does 5 to 10 make sense? If they're like, oh my God, absolutely not. You're like, okay, then I really don't want to work with you, because I'm only going to do it if it's in the 5 to 10K range.
Right.
And also a lot of times, like there's kind of like a standoff where you're like, what's your rate, or what's your budget? What's your rate type of thing, right? So a trick that you can do to have a client tell you what their budget is for a project is say, hey, I could do this for, $1,000. This could also be done for $5,000. This could also be done for $50,000 or $100,000.
Varying levels of quality.
Yeah, like, so where do you kind of fall within that?
That's a good trick.
It's kind of like a trick.
Yeah.
I feel like it also gets them to want to say more, because sometimes if you just say, what's your budget, they're like, how much do I want to pay this fucker?
Yeah,
I've realized that lately, and then I'm like, that's not your budget, because if that is, like, I'm not gonna make any money.
Another tip, as on the freelance side, I actually just locked in a new client to do like TikTok and Instagram Reels content for. They couldn't afford my minimum level of engagement. So I said, hey, you guys are at a gym, you train people,
right?
You got a membership. I'll take the membership and I'll charge you less. And it's going to work out, because now I get a fucking free personal trainer out of it, which is great. And so sometimes if you want to get hired, but maybe like it's a company that you really want to work with, but they can't maybe afford your rates, maybe there's a way that you can like barter something that's not just a monetary value.
Big barter guy, you just put him back on the Oregon Trail, dude.
Yeah.
Big barter.
Big barters. And
yeah.
I think it's important too, when you're meeting with these people, right? All kinds of different people, introverts, extroverts, people that are really loud, really quiet,
vibing, they're not vibing.
Yeah, they're vibing, they're not vibing. It's important. I think I learned this from a book a really long time ago in college, like How to Win Friends and Influence People. But they talk about mirroring in this book. And mirroring, like when you sit down and you're in an interview with someone or you meet a new person, if they start talking about trains, ask them a fucking question about trains. So then you keep the conversation going about something that they're interested in, and you're matching their energy. If I'm a huge extrovert, which I probably could be to a lot of people, it's an intense personality. If I go meet someone and they're very quiet, I'm not going to be like, yo, like, da 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 da. I'm going to match what they're giving me.
Right.
And I'm going to ask them questions that I think of stuff that's interesting to them.
Right.
And we're going to try and find something that hopefully we can land in common that we can both talk about.
And then you can go in the same direction. All of a sudden it flows and it's easy and it's natural.
It's not like a weird jigsaw. It's like, you know, you want to have it be like a zipper, just perfect unison of you know, talking with the right there.
And like knowing like the culture of where you're trying to work at is really important.
Yes, and I think you could talk about, you know, for example, at the Lakers, if you showed up not in a suit, they'd probably tell you to leave.
Right.
But if they showed up in a suit to your job, they'd probably tell you to leave. Right. So it's just this
Literally.
weird, you know, it's just understanding that Wyden and Kennedy, for example, it's a huge ad agency in New York, LA, whatever. Those are some of they look like they're going to Coachella to go to work.
Oh, yeah.
People are dressed so fitted. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Is this a fashion show? And they're like, this is just how they're just coming to work. It's 9 in the morning.
It's part of it. Like,
Yeah, it's
so
part of
my
the culture.
at my first agency, everyone just dressed like real cool. I think I learned a lot about, I remember thinking like I'm learning a lot about videos and a lot about fashion. Swear, I'm not even kidding. I mean, like Thomas, Thomas is the swaggiest guy in the world.
Thomas is the swaggiest guy.
He worked there, you know, and they all just like had like cool Nikes on, and like Nike was a client, so we had to wear Nikes, but it was like a vibe. But then there's this guy, and we desperately needed this one role. I think it was like an account manager, and this guy was so qualified. He seemed cool. He just showed up in a suit and was super like professional, intense, like would not talk about anything but the job. And we're just like, we can't hire this guy. It just would feel so weird. I mean, we do like fruit roll-up races over the loft. Like you would do that. We're like,
Can't do that in a suit.
no, you can't do that.
Look
You
like
would
a
tear it.
dummy.
You would look like a dummy. So like you got to know, just try to research it. Try to figure it out. Try to talk to someone. It's like, hey, what's
Yeah.
it like there?
Yeah.
And then if that's a good fit for you, then you should try to match it. You know what I mean? But don't like become a chameleon.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you do, you know, get that initial interview, obviously they're going to ask you a bunch of questions about, you know, what is your experience? Like, what can you do? Tell us about yourself, whatever. It's also important to ask them questions. You never want to like leave the interview having just been asked questions and not ask any, because you want to know as much as you can about the said company you're interviewing for.
And you can apply this like interviewing or whatever. You're doing the same type of interview thing as a freelance person with these clients. Like
Totally.
you're like interviewing them to see if you want to work with them. If they're going to send you a revision at 2 a.m, you don't want to work with that, you know, that person. So the same type of concepts of like interviewing and like talking to people like that goes for the freelancer people as well.
Totally. So
you
say
know?
you're in an interview, some examples. Let's do some examples.
Give me one.
We'll go round robin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like to ask like, what gets you excited to go into work every day? You know, because I want to work somewhere that people are like stoked to be there, not just like there for the paycheck, because that's a bummer.
Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
waste of time.
Ask them, I think, you know, what's turnover look like at this company? How long are people staying here? Because I think if somebody tells you a year, you're like, okay, who's a psychopath here? Is it this boss or is it this boss? You know
Right.
what's going on. You can
Right.
kind of figure it out.
What does a home run employee look like? Similar. So that would be like if you're applying for, you know, a job. As far as a freelance client goes, you could say, you know, what does a home run like execution on this project look like? Or like, what do you hope to accomplish within, you know, 3 months of us working together?
And what are like the what's like a career path that I would have if I took this position, right? Say you wanted, you know, you're like applying for like a junior producer role, but you really want to be like an executive producer. Is that a path here even, or is like would I have to go somewhere else to like get that further promotion?
Oh, day-to-day responsibilities. What am I going to be doing?
Yeah. And you got to know that, because then you can honor that, because that's a commitment, right? They're hiring you to do this, this, and this. Do those things, and you don't have to do other stuff, because that's going to get pretty annoying for them if they're like I'm going to work on this edit, but also like, what if I like was in the meeting and I was like pitching client ideas, and they're like, well, we have people for that, please don't do that. And like people get fired for stuff like that. Like you got to do what you're told.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, exactly, and do the best you can in that lane, and that will take you to where you need to be.
Another one is, where do you see the company headed in the next 5 years? Because then you can see like, you know, where do they
Like,
see
we're
themselves
going under.
Right.
Right.
Okay, cool.
I remember Best Buy. Who was it? Someone interviewed there. Basically, I had a friend that was interviewing there, and he was like asking that question basically, and he's so glad he did, because he asked them, and they were like corporate, not like in the store, but he was like, where's Best Buy going? How's it feeling? How are we handling Amazon? He said, we just had the most sales we've ever had last quarter, and we will no longer be a company in 5 years for sure. He's like, Amazon's taking us over. We're just like, we're not going to make it.
Jeez.
And he's like, thank you so much for telling me that. Like, I'm
Wow.
going to go work somewhere else.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think he went to work at Radio Shack. Just kidding.
Classic.
Yeah.
What's a work day look like here? Am I getting here at 9? Am I
Right.
leaving
Yeah.
at 5?
Because every company says we have a great work-life balance. Half of them are lying.
Bullshit,
Yeah.
dude.
They
the
just
work
say
life
that.
thing and the family thing, you gotta see right through this shit.
Yeah.
You gotta figure out, be like, do I like these people? Can I hang out with them?
Right.
Are we gonna grind?
Right.
Are we getting off at 5?
Well, and it depends because some, like in my first agency, all the people were super fun. Like some of my best friends still are like worked there, and we worked our asses off, but it was fucking fun, so it didn't really matter. You know what I mean? And then some agents, like some places, like I know people that work at, like, I won't say the agencies, but like work forever. Like people work like 12-hour days at a lot of agencies, and fuck that. I've never had to do that, luckily, because I've been just like pretty cautious about like, what is it like? You can ask people and they'll be pretty honest with you. Like, oh, we do work a lot, but no, fuck that. It's gonna suck. You know what I mean? But they're like, honestly, it's pretty sweet, and that's really important. You know what I mean? You don't want to work to midnight every night. It's terrible.
Another good one is when they hit you up for that interview. Michael, okay, go on LinkedIn, find out who Michael is, find out what's Michael doing. Michael got a dog. I'm like, oh my god, dude, my dog just ran out this morning. He's like, dude, I have a dog too.
I think that's it's weirdly important, and it's like more important than like the rest of it.
Dude, you know though, this is crazy though, because if say you're going on a date with a girl, I haven't been on a date in a long time, but say you were going on a date with a girl, right?
Well, you haven't been on a date with a new girl.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Are you
yeah.
taking Chloe on dates still? Come on, man.
We never go on dates.
You gotta work on that.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so say you were going on a date with a new girl, you're going to the gram. And you're gonna find out what she likes to do, so you can have shit to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Same type of thing.
My dad used to say he always had like a flashcards that he would like go through beforehand because he gets so nervous, like talking points.
No,
he
he
gets so
didn't.
nervous. Yeah.
That's funny.
Whereas now, this is too much information. I apologize, Spencer. My brother would just like, I was like, "What's like your first date like?" He's like, "Dude, I take him through an experience, man." He's like, "I got this story," and he's got this whole thing planned, and he nails it, dude. It's so funny.
He's like, date 2, I got nothing else to talk about.
That was all date 1.
Okay, do you guys, when you go out to a restaurant, or like you're gonna go to a restaurant, do you look at the menu beforehand?
I usually do because I can't eat gluten, and I'm just like, will I be able to fucking eat anything? But
Super
I wouldn't.
fair.
I don't think I would otherwise. If people say, "Hey, this place has a lot of good gluten-free options," I'm not gonna look at the menu. After that first interview, I think it's really important, one, in that interview to convey how much you want the job. My brother always talked about how that's really important when he was interviewing. It's like, if this person really wants to work where he's working at Intuit at the time, he's like, that's going to pay off so much for us because that person's going to grind to be better, and they're not going to leave right away. And they're going to say yes if we offer them the job. So try to show that. And then a good way to show that after the fact is sending a thank you. Like, thank you for taking the time to interview with me, because when you're working, you don't really want to fucking take 30 minutes to interview someone because you got a lot of stuff to do. Send them a thank you that goes a long way, and then they see your name again, right? And the name's in the head, and then maybe follow up like a week later if they haven't heard anything, and then they see your name again, and that's just so important to like have that kind of connection. You know what I mean?
100%. I also think that like something that I feel that Keon, our intern, did is just that. Like, he just really wanted to be around us and wanted to work with us, and like he's really just starting on his content journey as far as like still learning how to use a camera and shoot and edit and all that kind of stuff, and we've taught him a ton. But like, the kid's been taking initiative, like on our flights, like taking pod notes about like the whole pod and just like editing clips. Like, even when we haven't asked him to do it, he's like going above and beyond and taking that initiative, and he's shown us how much he does like want to work with us. So that's been like great.
Which is great, but he showed us that right away when he was just like, I just fucking really want to work with you guys. I don't even care. And we're like, he's pretty raw, but like he just so wants to. And like, again, that personality that goes so far, dude. Just the can-do attitude.
He's also funny.
Yeah, he's also been really pulling up the jokes lately.
Making great memes for us.
As far as like freelance goes too, I think that a lot of these things will go back and forth. But I mean, biggest one though, man, is knowing the number that you will, like the lowest number that you'll take to do something, having a great website, good work. And you know, something that I did in school, I was really prepped to come out of school and get an agency job or get a freelance work, because I had done music, I had done football, I had done barber shit, I had done sororities. I showed all these different areas that I was like, oh, I can make a bag doing this for like until I figure out what I really want to do. So I had all these different avenues of content, not just sports. Because you hear everybody saying like, oh, niche down, niche down, niche down. Everybody's telling you that, right?
Which I think is important.
Which is fair. I
think it's important later.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when you're starting, if you can do, 1,000 different things, dude, do them. Try it out. Try and figure out what you do like the best, because The worst thing you could probably do is be 35 and be fucking doing, say, sports or whatever, and be like, I fucking hate sports. Be like, I hate this stuff.
I wish I was shooting something
Exactly.
else.
So it's great when you're young and you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, you don't have any real, besides your rent payment and your food, whatever. You don't have all these responsibilities yet. You can go try to be a DJ, videographer, or a photographer, whatever.
Try it all.
Travel around the world. You can see how that's like. Because when you're, 30 and you're stuck in said thing, you're going to hate yourself for not trying all those things while you were young and while you could have done it, while you went on tour when you were young or whatever, Two
things going off of that. One thing that I think, if you say you're going into the video space, you want to get hired for videos, say at an agency, all agencies and a lot of freelance shit, they need editors. They all do. It's a shortage. It's a fucking nationwide shortage. And even if you don't want to be an editor, I didn't want to be a full-time editor, but I learned how to edit and I was pretty good at it. And now I like get to shoot all the time. And I get to travel and it's great. But sometimes you got to cut your teeth. And I'm just saying, like, fucking learn how to use Premiere Pro. It will get you hired no matter what if you're good at it. Seriously, it's just like, I think so too. You can't miss.
Yeah, they're always going to need it. They're always going to need it. Everybody needs editors.
Everyone needs an editor. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Although I did hear, but it apparently didn't work. Who hired them? Some studio hired Google to see if they could make AI editors.
Yeah, no chance.
And I was like, holy shit, but it didn't work. Thank God. Apparently the edits were just trash. But it's kind of scary.
I don't think that would ever work.
I don't think that would ever work because it's making choices. You're not going to pull the right selects. You're not going to make they can make like a really basic like corporate thing that doesn't have any like artistry. But the other thing I was going to say is it's funny going off of what you're saying, kind of devil's advocate, but not really. At my first job, you're talking about like learn how to do everything, which is important and it can get you hired and it's good. But sometimes if you feel like this is a place where you could get like abused for knowing everything, like don't give them all the keys to the kingdom.
No, absolutely. That's a big one.
That's a big
one.
Well,
I think that when they tell you what the description is, you're not going to go in there and be like, yo, I can do design, because their eyes are going to get big. And they're going to be like, yo, we could pay this kid for one job and he does 17. That happens all the time and people get taken advantage of.
Because I did that, dude. I was like, they were like, well, like all of a sudden Nike needs a retoucher. And I'm like, well, I can retouch photos. Because I just didn't want to say no. I didn't really know how, but I did do it and I was pretty good at it, right? And then all of a sudden I was doing I was like Illustrator.
You're a retoucher guy,
I'm like writing copy and stuff. And then my buddy, Kevin, we really needed After Effects help for this project. And it was not going to get done unless someone stepped up. And I walk past him, I see him just like the sickest After Effects shit. I'm like, what? You know how to do it? And he goes, shut the fuck up. He's like, do not tell anyone I know how to use After Effects. Because he didn't want to get stuck being the After Effects guy. He wanted to be a creative director, which he is now, which is sick. But like he didn't want to, he wanted to stay in his lane, which is pretty funny.
And also when you're doing freelance work, sometimes the clients will be like, oh, can you just like also shoot some photos or like, can you also do some of this stuff and like
have a charge for it?
Yeah. Know how much you're going to charge for extra stuff. And like, that's why contracts are super important because you're like, nope, that's not in like the statement of work.
Refer to the scope of work, baby.
I also think that like, it's such a numbers game to get work, especially like, okay, if you're trying to apply for like a corporate job or an agency job, like you're not just going to apply to one job.
Definitely.
Just like colleges.
Exactly.
Yeah, just like colleges.
And if you're a freelancer, like once you get your fucking website on point, like you got to just reach out to a bunch of companies because it's a numbers game. Like, the first person most likely won't say yes. And even if like, let's say you're applying to one of your dream jobs or what you think is going to be a dream job of yours and, they don't get back to you or like it doesn't work out for some reason, it's super hard to like not get bummed about it that you don't get it, but like understand that everything happens for a reason and there's a reason why that job didn't work out and you just got to keep pushing, keep applying to more stuff and like outreaching and the right thing will come about.
When I didn't have a job and I came back, I was like freelancing full time, had a little small company and I came back from Bali. I interviewed, I shit you not, 500 or 600 places.
Holy shit.
That's crazy.
Dude, yeah.
Like
and
you like sent off emails?
Sent off emails to every single job on LinkedIn and on Teamworks that had an opening. I was interviewing them, but then I'd go to the interview and I'd be like, hey, so I'm not really like a full-time guy. I have a little small company. And they would all be like, what the fuck? Like, what? And I was trying to pitch them on like being like, yo, it's going to cost you all these benefits to hire this person. They're going to suck. I go, you got to train them. I go, you don't have to train me. I'm already great. And I got 2 other guys that could help us. And they were like, dude, we need a full-time dude.
Which it's funny though, because it's changed.
It's changed, but now
that would work.
No, I know. And we did get some work off of all of the, oh my God, I can't even, I remember getting in these interviews and I wouldn't even know who I was interviewing for, because I was just doing
You've
so
done
many
so
of
many
these
of
a day.
them.
I would just be like, yeah, so what are we going again? They're like, start talking. I'm like, oh, that's what this is, you know? So, but what I learned off of that was I got good at talking to people, and I got good at understanding like what their questions were, because 95% of them asked the exact same questions.
Right.
And some of them asked some stupid ass questions. So it's like interesting to hear all these different hiring processes, and you can take a little thing from all of these different interviews, but it's easy to get down on yourself when you get told no, but the whole game is no.
Right.
The whole game is you're trying all these different places. You're getting told no. You're learning what it is that they like and what I like about the people that I'm trying to get a job with or whatever. And then when one eventually does hit and you like it, okay, great. You have yourself an awesome job now, and you've learned what it is you don't like.
Right.
A few more things I want to touch on. Remember that like whenever you sign a new freelance client or you start a new job, understand that like it's not a forever thing. Like clients come and go. And, if you work at somewhere, understand that it's like a stepping stone to the next thing. Like you don't have to
Totally.
stay somewhere forever.
Right.
I actually had a call literally this morning with a client that I've been working with for 2.5 years. And I told him I can't work with him anymore because, I've just been too busy and it doesn't make sense. Like it's how much he's like paying me versus like it's not really what I want to be shooting anymore. Like it just doesn't make sense. And two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. So understand that like there's going to come a time where something doesn't serve its purpose anymore. And it might be scary because let's say it is a monthly retainer and you're relying on that money. Like sometimes you just got to let it go and put trust into the universe that something else, a better opportunity is going to arise. But it won't until you like let that go.
I totally agree. It's similar. Like when I was hired as an editor, I was like, fuck this. I'm not an editor. This is bullshit. Like I'm a director, dog. You know what I mean? And I was really struggling with that for like a little bit. But then I was like, no, I need this because I don't have any work in this business, in this industry at all. And it's okay to just take a job for a year and get all the experience and get paid and like learn how to do stuff. And then you can move on to the next thing. Don't feel bad about just like getting any job is good.
Gives you breathing room.
Gives you breathing room and it gives you experience and you learn stuff.
I think also the last thing I personally want to touch on is if you become well known on social media in your field, that's a great way because then people find you through that. And like, there's nothing better than getting reached out to by someone who's like, we want to work with you. And then you don't have to pitch yourself because then you have leverage. For example, I'm really hyped because I just locked in a Sony partnership with Sony Alpha, which is literally like a dream partnership of mine to make them TikTok videos. And that wouldn't have happened had I not been posting on TikTok, and they found me that way. So yeah, a little bit of a hack. I also got hired by Loud Luxury through TikTok. So like being well known and creating content on social media is important.
I would say it's know your funnel, right? So like for social media, that's your funnel. That's like your, that's how you get your work, right? Like I just from people I've met from agencies in the past, whatever, and I was like doing freelance stuff. It's like, it's all comes from like, hey, I moved to this agency. We need someone to shoot this thing. Like know your funnel and like try to really cultivate that and like nurture it. So for you, that's like posting and like getting social media. For me, it's like reaching out, like having dinner, like what's up? How you doing? Been a while. Like nurture that funnel once you have one. It's really important.
Definitely. I think so. I love that. I think that hopefully from this pod, a lot of you guys are going to go make some bread. Get hired, close some
money.
Deals.
Money makes a lot of things easier. It doesn't make your life better, but it makes a lot of things easier, and that can be helpful.
Money solves money problems, baby.
Right.
There it is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the 505 Pod. If you're still here, please drop a screenshot on the story and tag all the boys, and we'll see you guys all next week. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.